Hello and welcome back to NAS Compares, and today I want to answer that big question that you guys always seem to put to me on both NAS Compares and here on the channel. Should you put all your money into a good cloud system, or should you be investing in a NAS? Because ultimately these two options are kind of the only main ways these days in which you can make your data both network and internet accessible, with the emphasis on internet. Now, both of them have their own advantages and disadvantages, and I can see why a number of you out there would be more appealed by one than the other. That was my phone, how annoying. Because ultimately, when you do want to make your data network accessible, there's kind of three big factors that a number of you out there are considering. Number one, safety. Number two, price. And number three, long-term use. Because it's okay to think now, once you start putting money down for something, you want to know this option is going to be working great 1, 3, 5, 10 years down the line, because your data is important, and not only do you not want anyone else accessing it, you want to access it. So, first thing, let's address that big one, price, because it's almost the sole reason that makes a number of you out there pick cloud over a NAS, because a good cloud-based system doesn't cost that much. A number of them out there, look at the three I've got on the screen. I've got Google Drive, I've got Dropbox, and I've got iCloud. Now, those three options out there are going to cost you, for a good amount of space, about a tenner a month. So you pay £10 a month and you get about a terabyte. And if you want more, let's say 10 quid equals a terabyte. Say you want 2 terabyte of safe storage. That's going to cost you, again, about £20 a month. Over the year, that's going to be £240, and over the course of 3 years, that's going to work out £720. So it's not a small sum of money, 720 over the course of those 3 years for 2 terabytes of storage. But at the same time, what's that going to cost you in a NAS? Well, a good NAS that for general file and low-level media access is probably going to cost you about 250 quid. Once you put two 2TB hard drives in there, because you want RAID, you want safety, so you are going to have to put at least two 2 terabyte drives inside there. Those drives are going to cost you about 70 quid each, so you spend about another £140. So whereas with the cloud you spent £20 a month at the beginning, with the NAS you're going to have to spend somewhere in the region of £400 to £500, and that's without that straight away, and that's now. So a lot of you are just thinking, whoa, a bit rich for my blood, I'll step away from the table. And I understand, but the reason I included that 3-year limit there is for two reasons. One, because you have to think long term. You're going to want network access not just today, not just next week, not just next month, but for years. And once you've had a cloud service up and running for at least 3 years, you've now spent more than, if not the same, as a good NAS solution. On top of that, most of the NASs and hard drives together arrive with either 2 or 3 years of warranty. So if something goes wrong with your NAS in that period, the hardware manufacturer will send you replacements. They will arrange for either the broken one to be taken away and replaced, or they'll just send an advanced replacement, and if it's completely knackered, not worry about the old one. So 2 to 3 years is kind of the sweet spot there. And in terms of the cloud, for 2 terabytes of storage, within 2 to 3 years, you've already spent that money. Whereas with the NAS, you would have spent that money immediately. So straight away, you're thinking, well, the prices are the same. No, they're not. Two things. One, what happens after 2 to 3 years? Because you're going to continue using that cloud storage. The NAS will still be there, but now the cloud is costing you more. And moreover, if you cancel the subscription to that cloud service, that's it. That data's gone. So you need to now buy a solution to put that data on. So now you have to buy the NAS or a DAS system anyway, because the data lives on that cloud, and when you shut down that subscription, you don't want to lose that data, so you pull it off from there, and you have to buy the solution anyway. So why not just buy the NAS at the beginning? Because if you'd gone for the NAS at the beginning, it would have cost you the same or indeed less, and you'd still have the NAS. So that's definitely something to bear in mind. Now, let's move into the second factor. And I know it might seem like I'm pushing NAS very hard, understandably, because the website's called NAS Compares. Of course I'm going to push NAS hard, but I'm trying to be as fair as possible. Now, security is one of those areas where you're going to have to really look at both areas, because NASs arrive these days with encryption systems, AES-256 encryption. Then you've got firewalls and all the stuff that your broadband provider and your routers and switches will put in between. and you've got network access, internet access, mobile apps, all of that stuff to access the device. But I can't tell you that there's a single NAS in the world that is as safe as the likes of Google Drive, Dropbox and iCloud in terms of security. That said, 2 of those have been hacked before. So the reason they were hacked wasn't because, they were unsafe, but it was because they were such big systems that they obviously had to duplicate a lot of what they were doing. Yes, there were randomly generated encryptions, but the systems they were using had to be boilerplate to a degree when you've got so many users. Also, they are a bigger target than the likes of Synology and QNAP and stuff like that, who might have smaller research and development teams, but are getting hit by less traffic of hackers and people that want to, start the next fappening or some nonsense like that, where people just want your information and steal it from you. And stuff like WannaCry and stuff like that should be beared in mind as well. Because if you're worried about, some horrible malware infecting your system, that is more likely on a NAS than it is on the cloud. So things like that, there's a lot of give and take in both of these systems. Me personally, I will always tell myself over and over again that a NAS is safer. I'm going to keep pointing at the wrong one. I'm going to tell myself that a NAS is safer because ultimately, if I'm worried about someone getting in, I can just pull the network cable out and that's it. No one's getting in but me. That said, someone could break into my house and steal the NAS. Yes, there's encryption, but now they've got my physical data. Whereas with the cloud, it's worth bearing in mind that although the data's on the cloud, I don't know what they are doing it. Now, these are 3 reputable companies, but we all know there are loads of less reputable data storage companies out there that will offer vast amounts of storage for low prices, whether they use it for data harvesting to sell some of that information, or that they generally have access to a lot of data that when you click delete, it doesn't go to delete, it just goes to another folder that they can see. You don't know. I'm not referring to these guys when I say that. I'm just saying that at least with a NAS, you can see your data on that spot. And with a good VPN built in, for a 5-10 quid a month or whatever, then you've got even more security from the likes of other websites or your ISP seeing what you are doing. So in terms of security, I'm going to kind of say it's a draw because it's very much dependent on how you want to protect yourself, because there's great strength and innovation happening on both of these vendors. The last thing is long term. I know I've already covered this kind of in terms of the NAS there, when I was talking about how when where does your data live on the cloud later on. But it's also worth noting that when your data lives on the cloud, it becomes far more accessible in many respects to your teams and your people and your groups for collaboration. Yes, files open better and are better handled on an NAS thanks to bespoke applications and apps such as Video Station, Photo Station, that sort of thing, that once you can actually collaborate and access the files and edit them in real time on those platforms via those apps in a way that cloud providers will always try to be a little bit vaguer and give you kind of a glorified file level access. And there are ways around that, and they've really started tinkering with things like Plex and Apple Time Machine, but they're never really going to be quite as versatile as a NAS. And in terms of long-term capabilities, I still think NAS has the edge, because so many people, as big as the cloud is and everyone living on the cloud and all that, we still live in a very prescient data environment, and we all talk about backing up, but none of our information is immediate to the cloud. We have it locally, and it might be backed up 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, a day later, but it's still present, and that data is still very present. Yes, it's being backed up over here or over there, but data is still very solidly here and now when we create it on our mobile devices. And it's because of that that I think NAS is important, because we still want to keep we still have an attachment to localized data, and that's something the cloud just can't give. They'll try to synchronize it with a local folder, but then you think, what's the point having the cloud really? I don't want a localized folder, I wanted the cloud. I want both, but I don't want to duplicate. What I want is my localized files backing up via Apple Time Machine or more to my cloud or my NAS device. So in terms of long-term capabilities, I still think NAS will always have the edge. But maybe you disagree. Do let me know in the comments below which of these two providers, NAS or third-party clouds, do you go for. Of course, lots of third-party clouds now completely migrate with NAS systems, and likewise NAS providers such as Synology are actually bundling in an area of cloud storage for a disaster management. These are definitely interesting things that I want to talk about in future videos, and it's stuff that you want to hear about. Do let me know in the bottom, and don't forget to click like and subscribe. This channel exists on your support and your interest, so do let me know if you're enjoying it at the bottom. And don't forget, if you want to buy your NAS, go to span.com, the NAS experts. There you go, subtle plug there at the end. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.